Hello, good afternoon, friends. Hope you are doing well. So, we have started our discussion on the play Oedipus the King, and in the last class, I have given the background story of the play Oedipus the King, how it is taken from the myth of Oedipus, and I have told you the whole story as it happens in case of King Laius, Jocasta, and how Polybus and Merope take care of Oedipus, how they raise him as their own son. So I have already spoken about these details. Now in this lecture I will be speaking about the present context of the drama, how this story has been taken in this drama, what part of the story has been taken. So in the last class we have seen already the tragic events have happened. Already Oedipus has killed his own father and has married his own mother. That has already happened, and many years have passed by till now. The story that is happening in this drama is the after effect of those sinful actions of King Oedipus. What is happening? How the drama begins? Now, when we look at the structural aspects of this drama, it is very interesting. As Aristotle says, in drama, in the beginning, the action starts rising slowly and it reaches a point in the middle of the drama which he calls as climax. And then the anticlimax begins, wherein there is fall of action. It has been very interestingly structured in this way in the play Oedipus the King. How this action starts. This drama is not a drama of action, but it is rather, I would like to call it as a drama of revelation. With each revelation, it starts affecting the main character in this drama. And there are about 8 revelations, and at the 8th revelation of a secret, or it is not rather secret, but it is a part of the story which is unknown and now it is being uncovered. So there are 8 revelations, and it is at the 8th revelation or revelation of the 8th fact that the drama reaches the point of climax. What are these revelations and how do these take place is all there in the plot of this drama. King Oedipus or Oedipus Rex is written, as I have already told about the writing pattern, it is written in the form of verses, lines, and it consists of roughly 1580 lines. There are no scene divisions or act divisions in this drama as we find them in Shakespearean dramas. And one more very important aspect to this drama is that it starts in medias res, that is, in the middle of events. There have been some incidents which have happened in the past, and there are going to be incidents happening as the course goes on in this drama. So it begins at a certain point where it is like the middle point of the story, Already something has happened, and now it is the after effect which we are going to witness. So what has happened? How the drama begins. And this technique of in medias res is also one of the epic conventions which was used by early epic writers. So the drama begins like this. I would like to read something from the text. This is the text that I have referred to. Sophocles, Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Electra. It is Oxford World's Classics publication, and this particular drama has been translated by H.D.F. Kitto into English. This book also has an introduction and notes by Edith Hall. So this is one of the very standard editions of the drama in English. As there is the custom of introducing the characters in the Greek drama, the playwright Sophocles has given the first introduction as dramatis personae, meaning the list of characters that come in this drama. So there are roughly about 10 or 12 characters. Out of all of them, the most important characters are Oedipus, who is the king now, priest of Zeus, priest is not very important character. I will first list down important characters. So Oedipus, yes, he is the hero of the play, tragic hero. Then it is Creon, who is important. Then it is a blind prophet called Tiresias. It is Jocasta also, who is very important. Then there are two shepherds who reveal most of the secret from the past, a Theban shepherd and a Corinthian shepherd. These are very important characters in the drama. And then there are minor characters like priest of Zeus, then a messenger, then chorus. Yes, I have told you about the element of chorus. Chorus is not just group song as we know it, but it is the representation of Theban citizens speaking in one voice. Then there are two daughters, but they don't have any dialogue here. These daughters are of Oedipus and Jocasta, Antigone and Ismene. Then there are attendants and other priests and so many other minor characters. Where the scene takes place, it is not like a Shakespearean drama. For example, Antony and Cleopatra, where a lot of action is taking place at different locations. Since this drama is all about a revelation of old facts, it consists of dialogues more than actions. So the dialogues become more important than actions in this drama here. So the whole scene, the whole drama takes place in the royal court of King Oedipus, in the capital of the state, that is Thebes. I have told you about Thebes in the earlier lecture. It is one of the city-states in ancient Greek empires. So this is dramatis personae, a sort of brief introduction to the characters. It is a custom of the ancient Greek drama. So the drama starts thus. It seems like a problem play in the beginning because it begins with a problem in Thebes. It starts thus. I will narrate you the whole story now. Now this plot you remember because Now I am going to tell you as it happens in this particular text. So we know already the tragedy has happened. Already King Oedipus is on the throne of Thebes, and then he has already committed parricide and incest. Now there is a problem, and it has been several years for these crimes that he has committed unknowingly, and that is very important. He did not know that it was his father whom he killed, right? So because of all these sins done by the unfortunate character of Oedipus, there is a crisis which is stated in the beginning of the drama. What is this crisis? A severe plague has hit the city of Thebes. Many people are dying. Everyone is worried when the plague will end. Even the king, Oedipus, the king, is a very responsible king. Before the people come to him seeking for help, he has already started preparations in order to solve the problems of the people. So the first scene is like this. In his court, King Oedipus is sitting on his throne, and chorus, that is a representation of Theban citizens, have come to seek help from their king. They are stating their problem. They are stating, "Oh, our dear king, you have saved us from the monstrous Sphinx. We have made you our king. So it is now your responsibility to find some solution to the problem of plague." To this, Oedipus replies, "Yes, I know my responsibilities. You are like my children, and that's why I have already sent Creon to the oracle to ask for the remedy from this disease of plague in Thebes." So he pacifies the audience, the chorus, who have come to him in order to seek help. After some time, Creon comes. Now who is Creon? Creon is brother to Jocasta and brother-in-law to the king Oedipus. So Creon comes back from the oracle and tells the king that the oracle has told something very important, and if we do that, Thebes will be, the problem of plague will be solved for the people of Thebes. The king is curious to know what it is. Creon says that the oracle has told him that murderer of Laius is still in the city, and his presence is polluting the city's atmosphere. That is why plague has taken place. Plague has affected Thebes. And it further says, now it is reported by Creon to King Oedipus. Creon says that the oracle has told, unless we throw that person, we throw that murderer of Laius out of our kingdom, this plague will not be solved. It will not be cured. Now, Oedipus is in a puzzle. It was a long time since Laius was killed, and it was surprising for King Oedipus that his murderer was still in that same city. So he asks Creon's help further, and Creon says, we have to search for the murderer. Tiresias is a blind prophet who is very famous for his wisdom throughout the city-state of Thebes. King Oedipus, being a very responsible man, being a very responsible king, he has a great concern towards his citizens. So he sends for Tiresias, and Tiresias, the blind prophet, he is also old, and his blindness and his old age symbolize his wisdom. Tiresias comes to the court of King Oedipus. King Oedipus asks him who is the murderer of Laius. He also tells him what Creon has reported after coming back from the oracle. Thinking that Tiresias is a very wise man, he might know who is the murderer of Laius. In fact, Tiresias, being a very wise prophet, he is a prophet, so definitely he has that sense of prophesying. He knows who is the murderer of Laius, but he does not accept to tell who is the murderer to King Oedipus. Tiresias is unwilling to tell the truth because sometimes truths are very harsh to digest. Tiresias knows that the king will not believe if Tiresias tells him that he himself or the king himself is the murderer of Laius. Therefore, he prefers to be quiet. Now the king Oedipus is furiated. He thinks that Tiresias is doing it on purpose because he is conspiring with Creon. Tiresias, and further there are dialogues. There are, in fact, this is one of the important episodes in this drama. There are dialogues, heated arguments between King Oedipus and Tiresias. King Oedipus mocks at the blindness of Tiresias when he refuses to tell him the truth. Tiresias, in turn, he also feels humiliated. He feels insulted by the comments on his blindness. He says later in his dialogues, he gives some clues to King Oedipus, and now King Oedipus is very much disturbed. What are the clues? So this is the first revelation that takes place in the drama. Although it is not a full revelation, Tiresias is giving clues in a hidden way to King Oedipus that king himself is the murderer of the old king Laius. The dialogue goes thus. Tiresias says to Oedipus, "You are the man whose crimes pollute the city. You are yourself the murderer you seek." So this is what Tiresias replies angrily at Oedipus, and also curses Oedipus that you are blind even with your eyes, that you don't know that you are leading life of such a shame. King Oedipus is not satisfied with the dialogues of Tiresias. He thought that Tiresias would reveal him the name of Laius' murderer, but in fact it turns out to be a bitter discussion. Now king starts behaving suddenly like a crazy man. He thinks that Tiresias and Creon have made a plot together and they are conspiring against Oedipus to gain the kingdom. In fact, it is not true. In direct dialogues with Creon later, he even accuses Creon of plotting conspiracies along with the blind prophet Tiresias. And This leads to heated arguments between Creon and Oedipus. After some time listening to the heated arguments between her husband and her brother, Jocasta comes out of her palace in the court and she starts blaming both these men. She starts asking the reasons for quarrel, and king says that Creon has plotted against him using the blind prophet Tiresias. Chorus is a witness to this fight. Chorus, the citizens of Thebes who have known the nature of Creon right from the beginning, they believe that Creon is not a bad man. So they are trying to convince King Oedipus not to get angry with Creon, and that Creon is not plotting any kind of conspiracy. He is very honest to the state. King does not believe it easily, and Jocasta has to come there in order to pacify him. So Jocasta settles the dispute between Creon and Oedipus. Creon leaves the court. He felt hurt, he felt humiliated, and that was quite obvious. Jocasta starts asking the king Oedipus, what are the reasons for these kind of heated arguments between him and Creon? King says that Creon and Tiresias are plotting a conspiracy against him. Jocasta asks, where is the proof for this conspiracy you are telling about? Then king says, Tiresias, when he had come, accused him as the murderer of Laius. This episode leads to the second revelation from Jocasta. In fact, Jocasta reveals many things in this play. When Jocasta heard this dialogue from Oedipus, she says to him that all prophecies are false, and what Tiresias has prophesied is false, because she goes on recounting the past incident that had happened when Oedipus was a baby. She tells Oedipus how prophecies are false. She tells to Oedipus that Laius was to be murdered by his own son. But in fact, that prophecy also did not come true. Laius was not murdered by his son, but he was murdered by a band of people, which included some strangers, at a crossroad. Now, this detail given by Jocasta comes as a revelation of one layer of the past to Oedipus. Oedipus is confused and is a little surprised to hear the details about the event of Laius' murder. When he hears the word crossroads, he remembers an incident which had happened in his past. See, now the old story which has already happened is being revealed slowly, layer by layer. Now, the mention of the word crossroads confuses Oedipus, because Oedipus had already killed an old man. He was a stranger to him at a crossroad itself, where three roads met. So he wants to know further truth from Jocasta. He wants to know how Laius looked, how was he murdered, where was he murdered, and he wants to know further details about that incident. Jocasta, in reply to Oedipus, tells him that it was at a crossroad which had three roads together. One road came from a place called Phokis, other came from Delphi, and another road came from Daulia. You remember I told you this background story where King Oedipus, when he was a young man, started traveling towards Thebes directly from Delphi, Oracle of Delphi, because he did not want to return to Corinth. Now these details given by Jocasta make the king sad and also doubtful. He starts making a guess that it might be himself who has murdered Laius. So he wants to know how Laius looked like. Now this comes as the third revelation. Jocasta tells in her speech that Laius almost looked like Oedipus himself. And she also tells him that the man who escaped, there was only one man who escaped that incident, saving his life, and he was the real witness to the murder of Laius. Only he could tell how the murder actually took place, who was the murderer. But she says, now this is the fourth revelation. She says that the man who had escaped during the murder of Laius went away to the hills as soon as he saw King Oedipus on the throne. So these things make it very clear that something was amiss. Why should he run when he looks at King Oedipus ruling as a new king? So there must be some secret. Now, with all these revelations, King Oedipus starts becoming restless. He starts guessing at the horror that is soon being revealed. But now you see, this is where we consider Oedipus as a great king. He has already guessed that he has murdered Laius. And now when he is almost sure, not completely sure yet, but he is almost sure that he has murdered Laius, when he knows that his murderer's presence in this city is leading to the plague. Being a king, he could have done anything. He could have accused anyone else of the murder, but the king really cares for the citizens of Thebes. So he wants to pursue the truth, no matter even if it leads to his own personal tragedy or grief. He knows that if he is found the true murderer of Laius, he will be exiled, but still he has the courage to pursue the truth. This is where King Oedipus stands as the greatest character in this drama. Being a king, he knows his responsibilities towards the citizens of Thebes. Now, having heard some parts of the past story of Laius' murder, king wants to know much in detail, and he requests Jocasta to send for that person who had escaped into the hills after seeing him as the new king, and who was also a live witness to the murder of Laius. So on king's request, Jocasta sends for that Theban shepherd who was the witness to this murder. So I have told you how these four revelations take place and how slowly King Oedipus is sensing the danger, is sensing the horror of the tragedy which has already happened in the past and now is being revealed, is shown in this part. So in this lecture I have completed 4 revelations which are very important in this story. Further, in the next class I will speak about the next 4 revelations and how the whole story, the whole tragic story of Oedipus's parricide and incest is unfolded. We will see in the next class. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.